Hey guys, so it's been a while since I have done a video for this channel. It's been probably close to a year, but I thought that I would do another video since I haven't done one in a while, and I was inspired by some videos that I have watched recently. And yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and explain what's going on. So, you probably know if you've been watching this channel for a few years that I've been reading a lot. I love to read, but I've been reading a lot of Agatha Christie novels. I've been trying to start from the very first Agatha Christie novel and work my way all the way through all of her books, and I am over halfway through now, so yeah, I've gotten pretty far. Anyway, this is going to be a video where I try to solve an Agatha Christie novel. Also, you may notice that there's a blank wall behind me. This is my blank canvas where I will be doing some things throughout the video. So back in November, I think it was, there were a few people on BookTube who were doing this try to solve an Agatha Christie mystery. So I watched 3 of those videos. They were all for books that I've read before, and yeah, so I watched them try to solve those, and I thought that I would try my hand at it since I have read several of Agatha Christie's books. I did the book that I read right before I read this one, which was like back in December. I did figure out who did it, and I didn't figure out their motive, but I did figure out who did it, so I felt pretty good about that. I've gotten a few correct. I've solved a few of them. Usually I can't figure out what the motive is, though. One of them I figured out the person and the motive, and I was just like, this one is amazing. I think it was Lord Edgware Dies. Not the best at these, but we're gonna try to solve it. My problem was I didn't know which book to choose, because most of the ones that I've seen people try, I've already read those. And I've read a lot of them, so I couldn't do like Murder on the Orient Express or And Then There Were None or any of those things because I've already read those books. But I did notice on one of their videos someone commented this one and another book. So I'm going to try to solve Cat Among the Pigeons. Plus it has a cat in the name and on the cover, even though I'm pretty sure there's not a cat in the book. But yeah, because it's just a saying, but I like cats, so. That is the dumbest reason for my choice, but oh well. So yeah, I don't know much about this one other than the little thing on the back. I've got my blank wall behind me, and I've got lots of blank note cards. So I'm going to be writing on these note cards all the characters, or the important characters, the suspects, victims, all that kind of stuff. And we're gonna try to solve it. So you guys can come with me. I'm gonna spoil this book for you, so sorry. If you want to read it, you might want to read it before I try to solve it. If you would like to read along with me, that's fine too. I'll try to put chapters in this so that right before I get to the spoilers, you can stop it. If you want to try to solve it for yourself, you can. But yeah, there we go. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I've read a little bit so far, and I'm going to go ahead and start making my cards, trying to figure out who all the characters are and solve this mystery. All right, so far I have 11 characters. I'm still not even through the prologue. I was not expecting to do this many. So, you know, I said that I've got these note cards. They're lined on one side. You can't really see it that well, but yeah. They're lined on one side and they're blank on the other. So what I'm doing is I'm writing down the names of the characters. So we have Miss Bulstrode, and she is one of the founders of the school, Meadowbank School, with Miss Chadwick. So there we go. Those are the 2 founders of the school. So what I had to do is just cut them in half, because when I realized there were so many people, I was like, I have 30 of these cards. And if there's gonna be a bunch of characters, I'm gonna need to buy some more note cards. So I just cut them in half. So there we go. Each character gets their own little note card, and I put little things on the back about each of them. So we'll just go through who we have so far. All right, so we have Miss Bulstrode. She started Meadowbank with Miss Chadwick, as I said. she keeps to herself and she only sees people when it is absolutely necessary. So that's really all that I know about her right now. The next part of the prologue that I'm about to read is about her, so I'm probably going to be filling that out a little bit more in just a minute. Then we have, of course, Miss Chadwick. She is stooped and dowdily dressed, a mathematician, and like I said, she started Meadowbank with Miss Bulstrode. Then we have Miss Vansittart, I guess is how you say her name. I don't really know. But she is very chatty, it seems like. She welcomes the students and the parents as they arrive, and she is often mistaken for Miss Bulstrode by people who do not know Miss Bulstrode, because they think, hey, this is the person who's greeting us. This must be Miss Bulstrode, when it is not. All right, so then we have Anne Shapland. Anne Shapland is Miss Bulstrode's secretary. She's 35, nice looking, and very efficient. She usually works for men, so this is the first time that she's been in like an all-girl kind of place, because this is an all-girls school, so it's all women there, all girls. Yeah, and she has a kind of beau, I guess, who's named Dennis, and he travels a lot. And then basically every time that he sees her again, he proposes and she says no. But, because she thinks that he's boring. But, she does notice an unnamed character. So that's great. I don't have anything to put on the back of this one. But, he is a gardener and he is young, dark, and good looking. That's basically all I know about him. So cool. So then we have a few more. There are so many teachers in this place. So we have Miss Johnson. All I know about her is she is the matron. So, and I don't really even know what that means. Anyway, so we've got her. We've got Mademoiselle Blanche, or Blanche. She's the French mistress. She is mousy, but she is very observant. Then you have Miss Rich, who is the teacher for English and geography, and she is ugly, clumsy, not punctual, and she pays no attention to her surroundings. So, if she's the one who finds the dead body, she's probably just going to trip over it, honestly. Then we have Miss Blake and Miss Rowan, who are apparently very good friends. They are junior mistresses, and they recently returned from a trip to Florence. And Miss Rowan is thin, dark, and intense, and Miss Blake is plump and fair. So there we go. And as they're walking down the way, I don't know where they're going, but they bump into the new games mistress, who is very unfriendly to them. How many more people are going to be introduced if this is just the prologue? So I guess I'm going to go ahead and finish the prologue and get back into it and see if there's anybody else that I've missed. Okay, so I've just finished the prologue, and I'm not going to put most of these people in here. I'm not going to make cards for most of these people, because a lot of these people are like the parents of the students, because this is a part of the chapter that is all about Miss Bulstrode, and she's talking to all these different parents about their kids, and I'm not giving each of them a card. I'm sorry. But we do learn a little bit more about Miss Bulstrode, and we learn a little bit about her sitting room and how it's situated where you can look out in two directions, and I'm wondering if that's going to come into play, because a lot of times if she gives like really detailed things about a room, then you need to be paying attention. Then one of the parents is talking to her, and suddenly she gets distracted because there's this lady she sees outside walking up the driveway, and her name is Lady Veronica, and she's absolutely drunk. And as Miss Bulstrode is, finally getting back to the conversation, she notices that this lady has been talking the whole time, Mrs. Upjohn. And so she's talking about like cloak and dagger stuff, something about a parachute, sabotage, things like that, plotting, secret agents, Geneva, and then she's like, oh, I guess I've been talking too much. So she shakes hands with Miss Bulstrode and walks out, says goodbye and everything. And Miss Bulstrode is kind of sitting there like, I feel like I've missed something. And now I feel like I've missed something too. Is there a clue here? Maybe all of this stuff, maybe there's something about Geneva that I need to keep in my mind. I don't know. Also, one of the new students is a princess, like a Middle Eastern princess. And yeah, that was the end of the prologue, and I guess I will go ahead and read some more. I see a few more names, so there are probably more things that are going to have to have cards, and I think the next time that you see me, I will probably have some stuff on the wall behind me. So there we go. I'm gonna go ahead and put my characters up there, I think. All right, so I am up to chapter 5 now, and there are so many new characters. Oh my gosh, why do they just keep introducing more people? And I didn't even write cards for everyone because there was one guy that was just like, you know, I'm not even gonna worry about it. So we had all that stuff in the prologue that takes place in the school. You get to meet all the people in the school. But now there is another place. So I've got my school people up here, of course, and now over here, at some point you can't see it, but that is going to be the other people who are involved in the revolution in Ramat. Ramat is apparently a Middle Eastern country that she made up, and here are some characters from there. So you've got Prince Ali, mighty is he, Ali Ababwa. No, his name is Ali Yusuf, and he is the Sheikh of Ramat. People hate him for some reason. I don't know why, but they hate him. So there's like this big revolt happening, and he's trying to escape by plane. And he has this satchel full of jewels that have been passed down through his family for I don't know how long, and they are worth £750,000. So very expensive. With him, you have Bob Rawlinson. Bob Rawlinson is his private pilot, and of course they're trying to leave the country. But Prince Ali knows that he's not going to be able to get out of the country probably without them trying to shoot him down. So he convinces Bob to take the jewels to try to smuggle them out of the country, basically. So that's what Bob is trying to do. Bob decides that he's going to send them to England with his sister, who just happens to be in town. I even made a thing specifically for the jewels because that's like the whole thing. This whole thing is about the jewels. I was not expecting that. So yeah, the jewels are their own character. These are like the Maltese Falcon of the story, I guess. Yeah, and there were some quotes like death, bloodshed, murder. Those all come with the jewels, and women will be the worst. And guess what? It's going to a school where there are women everywhere. So yay. And yeah, so there we go. That's that one. So he goes to his sister's room in her hotel. She's not there. She's gone to see some kind of dam or something. And so she's not there. He goes into her room. He does something there. It doesn't exactly tell what he does. It doesn't go into specifics. He takes some like putty from his niece's stuff and he does something. And then he writes a note saying something about, hey, we should go play some golf tomorrow. I know that you're out today and you'll be tired when you get back or whatever. So we should go play some golf tomorrow at 5. And so my first instinct is, okay, he's put it into the golf club. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? So that's where I think the jewels are right now, but I could be wrong. And then he telephoned some guy at the embassy and was going to meet with him to kind of give him a clue of where to find the jewels, but he never did get to meet him. Now, at one point he thought that he was being watched, and he was. There was a woman on the balcony. We do not know who this is. This is a mystery woman. She was in the room next to the sister's room, and she's like looking in her mirror. She sees Bob doing something, and she gets curious, and she's trying to figure out what he's doing. After he leaves, she breaks in to investigate, but then she hears somebody. She hears Mrs. Sutcliffe, who is Bob's sister, coming back. And so she leaves. At one point, you find out that it could be one of two people. It's either a Spanish cabaret dancer named Angelica, or it is one of a group of school teachers. So, then of course, the guy that Bob Rawlinson called is John Edmondson. So we've got another guy. He is the 3rd secretary at the embassy. Like I said, he gets the phone call, but he doesn't actually get to meet with Bob. But he does end up meeting up with Colonel Pikeaway. So we've got another guy. So this guy is a colonel at the Foreign Office. John goes to him because the colonel wants to know kind of what's going on with Bob, because Bob is dead. Bob and the prince are both dead. They got into an airplane and crashed in the mountains, and they just found the airplane with the bodies. Are they the real bodies? Are they actually dead? I don't know. It's possible they could be alive and they have just faked their deaths. I don't know. But right now in the story, they're dead. So Colonel, so this guy, he gives the colonel as much information as he has, which is basically nothing. So the colonel calls in Ronnie, and he is this tall, dark, muscular, rather impertinent fellow. And he tells him that he wants him to infiltrate a girls' school. But he doesn't say infiltrate, he says penetrate. I was very put off by that. So anyway, he's gonna go to the girls' school and he's gonna keep an eye on the princess. And guess what? He's gonna be the gardener. So one of those little things up there, that's this guy. His name is Ronnie, but he's gonna go by the name of Adam Goodman. So now we have this guy that is combined with the one up there. So I'll do that at some point. Then he also contacts Mr. Robinson. Mr. Robinson does not have a first name. He's like fat and well-dressed, and he has an English voice with no accent whatsoever. So he's kind of weird. The description of him is very strange because they're like, he has a yellow face and a wide smile with white teeth, and there were some other weird things going on with him. And I was like, I don't know how to even picture this guy in my mind. But yeah, so he thinks that the jewels were smuggled out in Mrs. Sutcliffe's luggage, and he's trying to keep her safe. I don't really know why, but there we go. So that's all of those people. And then, of course, we have Mrs. Sutcliffe, and we also have her daughter Jennifer, who I did not make a card for, but I probably should have. So Mrs. Sutcliffe is, of course, the sister to Bob Rawlinson. Anyway, she's getting very annoyed because people keep going through her stuff. Someone broke into her house. Someone broke into her hotel room. They just keep breaking in everywhere, trying to go through her stuff to try to find those jewels, and they're not finding them. And now her daughter, Jennifer, is going to Meadowbank, the school. And basically that is where I am. So the next chapter is called Letters from Meadowbank School, and it's just a bunch of letters that the students and the teachers are writing to people. So I'm gonna have to look for clues in all the letters. It is midnight. It's 12:09 actually, and I need to go to bed because I have to work tomorrow. So the mystery will have to be solved at some other time because for now I'm going to bed. All right, so I'm about halfway through the book, roughly. So here is a little update, I guess. I still don't know who did it. I have a few suspicions, and I have also I have my stuff up on my board, and yeah, I have started supplementing all of that stuff with notes in just a regular little notepad. All right, so here's what's happened. Julia Upjohn and Jennifer Sutcliffe, they have become really good friends. They play tennis together a lot, and apparently Jennifer is very good, except her tennis racket got warped from being in the Persian Gulf because it's very hot there. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that her tennis racket is where the jewels are being stored right now. I'm assuming it is somewhere in the handle or whatever. Don't know. I don't play tennis, so not sure. But I'm assuming that it's in there somehow, that there's like a hollowed out area. She says that at one point that the balance is off, and so I'm assuming it's probably because of that, because there's something in there that is not supposed to be. I'm very suspicious of Miss Rich because she talks a lot about jealousy, which is kind of strange. Like something happened to her in her love life. I don't know, but she's very dramatic because they all talk about how they love her classes because she's very dramatic and everything. And yeah, so thinking there might be something up with her. We did find out the name of the gym teacher. Her name is Miss Springer. I haven't put it up on the board yet, but that one right there. So that one is Miss Springer. So she's the gym teacher, and nobody seems to like her. So Princess Shaista, I don't know how you say it. She claims that she was going to marry Prince Ali, but Jennifer, the one who was, the niece of Bob, the guy who was his pilot, says that he liked somebody else and that he was not going to marry the princess. And the princess is like his distant cousin or something. And yeah, apparently they marry cousins in that family. Real weird, but that's the way people used to do it. Anyway, so there are rumors that Bulstrode is going to be retiring soon and that Vansittart is going to take her place. But she's been kind of talking to both Vansittart and Miss Rich, and I think she's kind of leaning a little more toward Miss Rich taking over. But I'm still suspicious of Miss Rich, so I don't know. So someone mentions that Miss Rich is back and looking quite well. We did miss her last term, so she was gone for a little while and is back. So where did she go? Don't know. Where did she go when she was on her little term off? Don't know. Suspicious. So Julia and Jennifer decide that they're going to swap tennis rackets because Jennifer doesn't like the balance on hers. Like I said, the balance is off. She's annoyed at it. Julia doesn't like that hers, like some of the strings are missing or something. So they decide to swap tennis rackets. And to do this, they have like pieces of tape on the rackets that have their names on them. So they just switch the pieces of tape, which means that now Julia has Jennifer's racket. So I'm pretty sure that Julia has the racket that has the jewels in it. At one point, Blanche, Mademoiselle Blanche, the French teacher, comes out of the sports pavilion. They keep calling the gymnasium the sports pavilion. It's kind of annoying, but whatever. Anyway, she's acting kind of suspicious. And Adam, the gardener, of course, who is like not actually a gardener, he notices and thinks it's strange. We find out that Anne Chaplin worked as a secretary to an actress named Monica Lord, which makes me suspicious also because anytime there's an actress or an actor, I mean, there are like bells going off in my head going, oh, something's going on here. So, yeah. Then you find out that Miss Springer has been shot in the sports pavilion. There's a detective that shows up, Detective Inspector Kelsey. I do not have a thing for him up there because he's the detective. I'm pretty sure he's not the killer. We find out that Miss Johnson was with a sick student. She noticed the light at the pavilion, so she woke up Miss Chadwick and they went out to see what was going on, and they heard a gunshot. And so they ran in, found Miss Springer dead. Call the police, all that stuff. The thing is, the rackets are kept in the pavilion. So there you go. And the pavilion wasn't broken into. Somebody used a key to get in. The police find out that the light that was seen in the pavilion was from a flashlight. Somebody was like moving a flashlight around, which made Miss Johnson suspicious, and that's why she went out. She thought there might be like a student out there having like a secret rendezvous with someone, which was not the case. Instead, she found a dead body. So there are two possibilities right now. One is that Miss Springer was meeting someone in the pavilion and they killed her. The other is that she saw the light from the flashlight and went in there to try to stop somebody from burglarizing the place or whatever. So she was trying to stop a burglary. And also it is mentioned that the tennis racket stand was moved and the rackets were on the floor. Unfortunately for Adam, he becomes high up on the suspect list. Pretty sure he didn't do it, but you know, unless she's really just trying to throw me off, which is possible. So the police are interviewing everybody. Miss Rich talks a lot, and it mentions again how ugly she is, which, come on, people. But I'm wondering if that is just a facade, if she's using makeup, which makes me think that maybe this is, it's gonna sound really stupid. So I'm wondering if this is Monica Lord, the actress that Anne Chaplin was secretary for. I don't know why she would be pretending to be a teacher. They interview the students also. The princess says she thinks that the person who killed Springer is trying to kidnap her because whoever that person is thinks that she has the jewels. And the police are kind of like, okay, sure, they're here to kidnap you. World revolves around you, princess, you know. Adam reveals himself to the police. So there we go. At least he's not going, oh yes, I'm still the gardener. He actually tells them who he is, who he's working for and everything. He's working for the Foreign Office. He's suspicious of both Anne Chaplin and Mademoiselle Blanche because this is the first year that both of them have been at the school. So since he is suspicious of those two, that makes me think that neither of them is the killer, because usually that's how it goes. I'm still thinking it might be Miss Rich, and also it could possibly be one of the junior mistresses, Miss Rowan or Miss, what's her name? Blake. Miss Rowan or Miss Blake. Could be one of those two, because maybe, I know at one point it said that the woman on the balcony, where's this woman on the balcony? She's got to be one of them, right? Surely. So the woman on the balcony is either a dancer, which also could go with like actress, the whole actress thing. She could have been pretending to be pretending to be a dancer, and it still could be Miss Rich, and now she's back as Miss Rich instead of the actress Monica Lord. This is sounding really, really stupid, I know it, but you know, sometimes I have really out there ones. Sometimes they actually work. I don't know. So it could be that, or it could be, I know that the two teachers, the two junior mistresses were kind of going, I know they mentioned that they were in Florence at one point, so maybe they were in Ramat also. Kind of suspicious of all three of those, and they haven't really been pinpointed as suspicious characters by the police or anyone. So, I don't know. Also, I'm thinking that Adam and Anne are gonna kind of get together, because right now they have this, they don't really like each other right now, but I think by the end they're gonna like each other, and they're probably gonna end up together, because usually there's at least one romance in these, and those two seem like they would naturally go together. Anyway, it's my bedtime, so I should probably go ahead and go to bed, and maybe I can get another fourth of the way through this tomorrow. And yeah, the next chapter is called New Lamps for Old. So we're starting to get into some Aladdin territory, apparently, because in like the original Aladdin story, can't remember if it was his mother or if it was his wife, but one of them, I think it was his wife, trades new lamps for old, and that's how the lamp with the genie in it gets into the hands of the bad guy. Yeah. And I know I've looked at the chapter titles, and one of them is called Aladdin's Cave. So obviously they're going for some kind of an Aladdin theme on here. I don't know, which is really funny because of the one character that is named Prince Ali, even though he's dead. But you know, it's still kind of funny because I hear Prince Ali and I just think of Aladdin automatically, and then they're putting Aladdin stuff in here. Okay, Agatha Christie, you were a few decades early, but all right, I see you. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and go to bed, and hopefully tomorrow I can get a little further into this. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick little voiceover. This is the board so far, what it looks like. And as you can see, I've got my Meadowbank people, I've got my suspects and victims, and I've got Ramat over there. So that is everybody that I made cards for. And I've got them all separated. All right, like I said, this is Meadowbank. This is Ramat. And of course, here are the victims. There's room for more, but right now we just have Miss Springer. We have our suspects. My number one, of course, is Miss Rich, who I also think is the woman on the balcony. But it could also be Ms. Rowan or Miss Blake. So there we go. Those are my suspects that I think may have done it. And then, of course, I have the red herrings, Anne Shapland and Mademoiselle Blanche, who are suspected right now, but I don't think that they did it. Okay, as you can see, I still have my murder board behind me, and I haven't changed anything since the last time that I updated. Yesterday, I did not record anything, but I did read. I read a pretty good bit. I am up to chapter 18 now, so pretty far in the book. That is how much I have left. So I should be able to finish it tonight and hopefully solve it. And yeah, I guess I should kind of update you guys about what has been happening. Okay, so when we last left off, Adam had been discovered. He had come up and said, you know, I'm working for the government or whatever. So he is now officially helping with the investigation. He told Miss Bulstrode who he is, and so that's cool, she knows. Miss Bulstrode is talking to the police, and she mentions the thing with Mrs. Upjohn that was in the prologue. So it was when she was looking out and she was noticing all this commotion, and Mrs. Upjohn was talking about something. And then when she got back to it, she was like, I didn't hear anything she just said, but I think it may have been important. So yeah, they bring that stuff up again. So the thought is that Mrs. Upjohn saw someone who was on their way into the building or walking up the road. And it was someone that she recognized from her days doing intelligence work in the war. She worked in Switzerland. Yeah, so there we go. Anyway, Switzerland has been mentioned several times. It was definitely in Geneva, because she did mention Geneva, and there was something about plotting maps, And then I was like, okay, well, plotting maps would be like geography. Who teaches geography? Miss Rich. Also, also making me think it's Miss Rich. Why? Why is Miss Rich like she's just like, everything is pointing to her to me. And that makes me think that that's not going to be her because it just seems too obvious to me. I don't know. Also, the princess that was supposed to marry Prince Ali, she came from a school in Switzerland. She looks much older than she's supposed to be. So she looks like she's about 25, but she's supposed to be 15. So is she actually the princess? Maybe not. Is she somebody in disguise as the princess? I'm kind of thinking that might be something that's going on, but I don't know if that's related exactly to the murders. So then we get this point where Jennifer Sutcliffe, who is the one who is supposed to have the jewels in the tennis racket, because yes, that is definitely what's going on. So Jennifer Sutcliffe is walking along, swinging her tennis racket, just walking, whatever. Some random blonde woman with an American accent pops out of the bushes and is like, hey, I'm looking for Jennifer Sutcliffe. And Jennifer's like, oh, that's me. She's not suspicious of this woman in the least. It's really weird. So she's like, oh, well, I have a package for Jennifer. And it's from her aunt, but I didn't catch her name, so I'm not really sure who it is. And she's like, oh, is it Aunt Margaret or whatever? I don't know if it was Margaret. She's like, yeah, that sounds familiar. So it's a new tennis racket. And she's like, and I'll take your old one back to your aunt so that she can have it restrung. So Jennifer's like, okay, sounds good. This new tennis racket's, amazing. So thanks. And then later she writes a letter thanking her aunt for the new tennis racket. And her aunt writes her back and is like, I don't know what you're talking about. Obviously. She talks to Julia about all this, and Julia is very suspicious. I really like Julia. Julia, what is her last name? Julia Upjohn. She's probably my favorite character right now. Yeah, I really like her. And she is kind of putting things together at this point. There's this big parent weekend kind of thing where the parents can either go take their kids out and take them to London or whatever, or the kids can just stay there. Several of the teachers get the day off too. So Miss Rich and Miss Blake are both gone for the weekend. I'm kind of still suspicious a little bit of Miss Blake. I don't know why, but definitely Miss Rich. Miss Bulstrode gets a call from the guy who dropped off the princess, and he is arranging to have the princess sent to London for the day. So the princess is picked up in a car, and then another car comes for the princess, and then they're like, well, maybe there was a mistake and they sent two cars. But then the princess never shows up in London. So the thought is that possibly she's been kidnapped. At one point, I think they do get a ransom note. So we think she's kidnapped. I don't think she's kidnapped. I think she wasn't the princess in the first place. And maybe they already had the princess kidnapped and they had to make it look like a kidnapping or something. I don't know. So, yeah, the princess is no longer in the picture right now. Anne Chaplin goes on a date with Dennis, the guy that she kind of likes and kind of doesn't. And she's telling him about the murder and how she thinks it's kind of strange. And there's something about it that isn't fitting right for her. And I think she's thinking about doing some sleuthing of her own. Miss Chadwick sees a light on in the pavilion at 1 o'clock in the morning again, and she goes out to investigate, and she finds Miss Vansittart dead. She's been hit with something, don't know what. They say that it was probably a sandbag or something, but there's a golf club also that's nearby, they find, but it's not what the murderer hit her with. But yeah, she's dead. She's way dead. So Chadwick says that she thinks she took the golf club, but she can't remember because she was, she just found a dead body. She's kind of freaking out, which made me suddenly suspicious of Miss Chadwick, but I don't think it's Miss Chadwick because Miss Chadwick was also the person who was running outside when they heard the gunshot that killed Miss Springer. Unless there was some other gunshot that they heard. I don't know. That doesn't make, sounds kind of pushing it there. But it does make a note that Miss Rich was staying at a hotel 20 miles away. Okay, why was she just at a random hotel, first of all? Was it so that she could set up an alibi? Because I'm kind of thinking it is. 20 miles is also not that far away. She could have... I still think that she is dressing up as people. I think she was the American woman that stopped at Jennifer Sutcliffe and took her tennis racket. And I think she's an actress or something, or maybe just a spy, and she's using her spy abilities. Maybe she was an actress before or something. I don't know. But she's using makeup and wigs and stuff. And she's making herself look different. I think that's what it is. That's my theory so far. Why are there 2 trains right now? Can you not? Okay, well, there are dueling trains outside, so sorry if you hear that. I don't know why 2 trains had to show up right now, but they did. Okay, so my theory is that Miss Rich went to the hotel so she would have an alibi. She went up to her room. She changed into some kind of a different costume and then like maybe got a cab or something. I don't know. Somehow, or drove. She could have taken her own car. I don't really know. And went back because it was only 20 miles. Like I said, that's not that far. Went back into the pavilion. Ended up killing Miss Vansittart, and then went back to the hotel, went back to her room, and then the next day checked out as Miss Rich. So that's what I think is going on with her. I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but she is just... There are so many red flags going off with this woman. Because also, after the second murder, all of these parents have started taking their kids home because, you know, they're afraid for their children's lives, which makes sense. And Jennifer Sutcliffe is leaving. Her mother comes to pick her up. And Miss Rich seems really mad about it. And they make a point of saying that she seems very angry that Jennifer is leaving. Also, at this point, Jennifer says that Miss Rich reminds her of someone that she's met before, but that person was fat. So I still think that Miss Rich is doing disguises, but I don't know. So anyway, Julia did not return her tennis racket because her tennis racket was, of course, Jennifer's old tennis racket. So she's got it. She didn't return it to the pavilion after she was playing tennis with Jennifer. Instead, she sneaks back into the school, goes up to her room, puts it under her mattress, and then goes about her day. Then later that night, she goes back into her room. She locks her, well, she can't really lock her door, but she puts like a chair under the handle so that nobody can get in while she's checking everything. She is convinced that there is something in that tennis racket. And guess what? She is absolutely correct. She undoes the tape around it and everything. She opens it up. There's like some modeling clay in there. She pulls that out, and there are a bunch of jewels. So what does she do with these jewels? She puts them in her sponge bag, which I guess is maybe like her makeup bag or something. I don't really know. She takes it the next day. She sneaks out, and then she just leaves. She just walks out. She takes like a bus, and she goes to Poirot. He has finally showed up 200 pages into this novel. It's not even 300 pages long, and he's just now showing up. He's like over 2/3 of the way through the novel. He finally shows up. Mrs. Upjohn, Julia's mother, is good friends with Mrs. Summerhays, who was in a previous novel that I've already read, Mrs. McGinty's Dead, and that's how she knows about Poirot. She takes these characters that are in some of the other books and just like sprinkles them through some of the other ones. It's really fun. She has her own little universe going, and it's really cool. So yeah, now Poirot is involved. He has the jewels because of course Julia brought them to him, and he actually calls Miss Bulstrode to let her know that Julia is with him, that she's safe, she's fine, and that they have found the jewels, and that they are in the bank. So here we go. Poirot has finally joined the mystery, and that's where I stopped. Okay, so I have moved a couple of things around. Not too much, though. I moved Miss Vansittart here because she's dead now. She's a victim. All right, so there we go. I moved the jewels up to the top there because that is what this whole thing is about. And of course, I'm still convinced that it is Miss Rich, and she is the woman on the balcony, just like I said last time. So that's still there. And everything else is pretty much where it was last time. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I was just saying that I believe Miss Rich is the woman on the balcony. And I think that's how Jennifer recognized her kind of and said, hey, this person looks kind of familiar, but the person I'm thinking of was fat. I think that she saw her at the hotel in one of her disguises. So I think I forgot to say that, but there we go. I'm getting back to reading now. Okay, so quick update. Poirot has been talking to the police, They have gone through all of the people that they think could be the killer, and they've pretty much gotten to the point where they're saying, oh, it has to be Mademoiselle Blanche because it can't be anybody else, which obviously means it cannot be Mademoiselle Blanche. It is not Mademoiselle Blanche. I'm sorry. It's just not. He just got Miss Rich to draw some people. Miss Bulstrode, Miss Rowan, Mademoiselle Blanche, and Adam. And then he got her to change the features on some of them, because I'm pretty sure he thinks somebody is wearing a disguise, but he thinks it could be Mademoiselle Blanche or Miss Rowan, I think, or possibly Adam, but I still think it's Miss Rich. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and that's fine. But she's been so suspicious to me since the very beginning. And nobody seems to suspect her. Am I taking crazy pills? Poirot just met with the Sutcliffes and had a long talk with Jennifer, and I swear this kid is just obsessed with tennis, and I don't like her. She's very annoying. I love Julia. Jennifer, not so much. So he basically is wondering about the woman who gave her the racket and wonders if she would recognize her, and shows her the picture of Mademoiselle Blanche that Miss Rich drew that looks a little slightly different. She's like, well, it could be, but I don't think it was her. So she says the only person that looked kind of familiar was Miss Rich, but the person that she was thinking of was much fatter. And it made her laugh to think of Miss Rich being fat. But now it looks like that Miss Rich is kind of being suspected a little bit, and now I'm kind of like, shoot, is it Miss Rich? Because usually if they suspect the person at all, that ends up not being the killer. So, oh boy, have I screwed up? Uh-oh. Don't know. So I'm on chapter 21. There are only 25 chapters, so I'm getting real close to the end. We're gonna find out. So Anne Shapland and Adam are talking, and of course she's like, I guess I'm just gonna marry Dennis, and he's like, you deserve somebody better, and she's like, are you volunteering? Basically, he's like, why would you want to marry a gardener? And she's like, I know you're not actually a gardener. I still think that they would be cute together. And then Mademoiselle Blanche, yeah, she is doing something very suspicious. She gets dressed up, she goes to town, she knows that people are following her, and she's like, I don't really care. She places a telephone call to someone, and I think she's blackmailing someone, but I don't think it has anything to do with the murders. And then she goes back up to her room, and somebody sandbags her in the back of the head. So is she dead? I don't know. It doesn't say. So she screams, or she opens her mouth to scream, and then she falls to the floor. So that's where I'm at right now. And it's really close to the end. I'm on chapter 22. I think chapter 23 or 24 is where we're gonna find out what happened. Okay, so apparently Mademoiselle Blanche is dead. So yeah, guess that happened. All right. Well, I mean, it's a good thing that I didn't have her as my suspect. So he says, there has been, shall we say, a cat among the pigeons. There have been 3 murders here and also a kidnapping. I will deal first with the kidnapping. He took from his pocket a photograph. First, I will pass round this photograph. I ask you, all of you, do you recognize the girl in that photograph? One and all, they shook their heads. You should do so, said Poirot, since that is a photograph obtained by me from Geneva of Princess Shysta. But it's not Shysta at all, cried Miss Chadwick. Exactly, said Poirot. Yes! So it wasn't the princess. Ah! Okay, good. Yay. Point 1 for me. Nice. Okay, I figured that one out. Good. After Prince Ali died, they thought that the jewels, of course, someone would bring them to the princess. So they kidnapped her and put somebody in her place because, of course, Miss Bulstrode had never actually met her. And, of course, Emir Ibrahim, her uncle, I think it was her uncle, yes, who was her uncle, had also not seen her before she went to school, so did not know that she was kidnapped, thought that the person at the school was actually his niece, and when he called to get her to meet him in London, that's when they had to kidnap her because they couldn't let him find out that it wasn't actually his niece. So yeah, basically the real princess is somewhere in a chalet in Switzerland. So she's completely fine. All right, so now moving on, we get to hear a train. But yeah, moving on, now we get to try to figure out who the murderer is. I still say it's Miss Rich. I keep wanting to call her Miss Nice, and I don't know why, but it's Miss Rich. Okay, so apparently there were two different people going for the jewels. The first ones knew that Bob Rawlinson had gone to Mrs. Sutcliffe's hotel room, so they're the ones who ransacked her house and everything and tried to steal it from her hotel room while she was in a hotel, all that stuff. But there's one person, of course, who actually saw where it was, and that is the woman on the balcony. And now he's just said why Mademoiselle Blanche made that phone call. She says she knew who the murderer was, and she was going to try to blackmail the person for money. Okay, so he says, I am happy to reassure you, all of you here at this moment are exactly who you say you are. So then, where are we? We must seek not for someone masquerading as someone else, but for someone who is, in his or her proper identity, a murderer. We want primarily someone who was in Ramat 3 months ago. Knowledge that the prize was concealed in the tennis racket could only have been acquired in one way. Someone must have seen it put there by Bob Rawlinson. It is as simple as that. Who then, of all of you present here, was in Ramat 3 months ago? His finger went out, pointing. But Miss Rich was not here last term, was she? No, I was ill, she spoke hurriedly. I was away for a term. That is the thing that we did not know, said Poirot, until a few days ago somebody mentioned it casually. When questioned by the police originally, you merely said that you had been at Meadowbank for a year and a half. That in itself is true enough. But you were absent last term. You could have been in Ramat. I think you were in Ramat. Yes, she said quietly. I was in Ramat. Why not? Why did you go to Ramat, Miss Rich? You already know. I had been ill. I was advised to take a rest, to go abroad. I wanted a rest. I wanted sunshine. I went out to Ramat. I spent 2 months there. Why not? Why not, I say? You have never mentioned that you were in Ramat at the time of the revolution. Why should I? What has it got to do with anyone here? I haven't killed anyone, I tell you. I haven't killed anyone. Maybe she hasn't killed anyone. You were recognized, you know, said Poirot. Not recognized definitely, but indefinitely. The child Jennifer was very vague. She said she thought she'd seen you in Ramat, but concluded it couldn't be you because, she said, the person she had seen was fat, not thin. Someone saw the jewels being hidden and forgot all other duties or interests in the determination to possess them. It isn't true, I tell you. I saw nothing. Inspector Kelly? Poirot turned his head. Inspector Kelly nodded, went to the door, opened it, and Mrs. Upjohn walked into the room. Okay, now I'm thinking it may not be Miss Rich. Who else is in here? Who else is in here? Oh no, it's not Miss Rich, is it? Is it Miss Shapland? Oh no. Is it Miss Shapland? I don't know. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna keep reading, and yeah, we'll see what Miss Upjohn has to say. So he just asked her if she saw somebody. She says, yes, of course. Yes, I did see someone. Someone you were surprised to see. Well, I was rather. You see, it had all been such years ago. Mrs. Upjohn, will you look around this room and tell me if you see that person here now? Yes, of course, said Miss Upjohn. I saw her as soon as I came in. That's her. She stretched out a pointing finger. Inspector Kelsey was quick, and so was Adam, but they were not quick enough. Anne Shapland. Dang it, Anne. No, come on. Oh, as soon as Miss Rich, like, no, it wasn't me. I'm like, who else was not mentioned? Anne Shapland had sprung to her feet. In her hand was a small, wicked-looking automatic, and it pointed straight at Mrs. Upjohn. Miss Bulstrode, quicker than the two men, moved sharply forward, but swifter still was Miss Chadwick. It was not Mrs. Upjohn that she was trying to shield. It was the woman who was standing between Anne Shapland and Mrs. Upjohn. No, you shan't, cried Chatty, and flung herself on Miss Bulstrode just as the small automatic went off. Miss Chadwick staggered and slowly crumpled down. Oh no! Did they just kill Miss Chadwick? Miss Johnson ran to her. Adam and Kelsey had got hold of Anne Shapland now. She was struggling like a wild cat, but they wrested the small automatic from her. Mrs. Upjohn said breathlessly, they said then that she was a killer, although she was so young, one of the most dangerous agents they had. Angelica was her code name. You lying bitch! Anne Shapland fairly spat out the words. Wait, was she the dancer? Maybe she was the dancer. What was the name of the dancer? I feel like it was Angelica something. It was Angelica. Not that that would have helped. Well, I guess Angelica. Come on. That's not a good clue. Okay. I'm so mad at myself. Because I was like, okay, Anne's definitely a red herring. I had her like being with Adam at the end and it was all gonna be great. Oh, come on. Agatha, why do you do this to me? I thought I had it. I was so sure that it was gonna be Miss Rich. I cannot believe she shot Miss Chadwick too. Come on. And then Adam's like, whew, and I thought she was a nice girl. Oh, geez. All right. God. Oh my gosh. Okay. This took a turn. Because I was like, but wait. It doesn't make sense. She was at dinner with Dennis. She had an alibi when Miss Vansittart died. That's why I didn't suspect her. So I was like, well, it can't be Anne because she couldn't have killed Miss Vansittart. She didn't kill Miss Vansittart. Miss Chadwick killed Miss Vansittart. There were two murderers. Oh my God, why? And I didn't get either of them. No. Oh no, this is worse than I thought. She was jealous because she knew that Miss Bulstrode was about to give the job to Miss Vansittart, was gonna let her take over the school, and she thought that since they started it together that she should be the new headmistress and she should take over the school. So she killed Miss Vansittart. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I was wondering why she said that she thought she had brought the golf club, because it never mentioned. She said she picked up a weapon because it was kind of from her perspective. She picked up a weapon and she was going to go see who was in the pavilion, but it didn't say what the weapon was. And then when they saw the golf club, they said, was it a golf club? And she was like, yeah, I guess that was it. And it wasn't. It was a sandbag. And that's what she killed her with. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, I thought there was something weird about that, but darn it. So mad. But I was like, it can't be Miss Chadwick. She's so nice. And that explains why, like, after the murder, after she told someone that she had found Miss Vansittart, she was very distraught. And they just mentioned that she looks so much older just over the past few weeks because she killed somebody and she's feeling very guilty about it. But you know what? She just got shot. So I would not be surprised if Agatha Christie just lets her die. And that solves that. It's like, well, she murdered someone, so I guess she gets to die now. Because that's just the way Agatha Christie does things. She's like, well, if the murderer kills themselves, it's fine. Okay, here we go. Now we get to find out why, because Miss Rich was in Ramat. We get to find out why she was. So, yeah. Oh! Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Okay. She said, you want to know what I was doing in Ramat? I think I have an idea, said Miss Bulstrode. Just so, said Poirot. Children nowadays know all the facts of life, but their eyes often retain innocence. He added that he, too, must be getting along, and slipped out. That was it, wasn't it? Said Miss Bulstrode. Her voice was brisk and businesslike. Jennifer merely described it as fat. She didn't realize it was a pregnant woman she had seen. Yes, said Eileen Rich. That was it. I was going to have a child. I didn't want to give up my job here. I carried on all right through the autumn, but after that it was beginning to show. I got a doctor's certificate that I wasn't fit to carry on, and I pleaded illness. I went abroad to a remote spot where I thought I wasn't likely to meet anyone who knew me. I came back to this country, and the child was born, dead. I came back this term, and I hoped that no one would ever know, but you understand now, don't you, why I said I should have had to refuse your offer of a partnership if you'd made it. Only now, with the school in such a disaster, I thought that, after all, I might be able to accept. She paused and said in a matter-of-fact voice, would you like me to leave now, or wait until the end of the term? You'll stay till the end of the term, said Miss Bulstrode, and if there is a new term here, which I still hope, you'll come back. "Come back," said Eileen Rich. "Do you mean you still want me?" "Of course I want you," said Miss Bulstrode. "You haven't murdered anyone, have you?" So despite all of that, she's still gonna give her the school. That's so cute! Oh, I have really enjoyed this one so far. And then Miss Chadwick died. So, one murderer arrested, one killed. Okay, that's typical Christie. So yeah, she felt very bad about it though, and so she was like, I'll never forgive myself. And Miss Bulstrode told her, "You saved my life and the life of that nice woman, Mrs. Upjohn. That counts for something, doesn't it?" And so she's like, I only wish I could have given my life for you both. That would have made it all right. And then she dies, and Miss Bulstrode is like, "You did." But she says it in a nicer way than that. You did. Oh my gosh. Okay, I've got one chapter left. How is there more to this? I thought this was done. Oh my god. I thought I was done. Okay, so we're at the end of the book. We still haven't figured out what to do with the jewels. Mr. Robinson, who I thought was never going to come back into the story. He was like in it for a chapter, and I was like, there's got to be some kind of significance. The chapter is actually named introducing Mr. Robinson. He's got to have something to do with this, you know. So he shows up at Poirot's apartment, house, whatever, and he's there to get the jewels because he says that Prince Ali was trying to get them out of the country and get them to him, Mr. Robinson, so that he can do what he needs to do with them. And he tells Poirot what it is, but it doesn't tell us, but it's about to. So I think that he's going to give the jewels to the person that Prince Ali was going to marry, maybe. And we're going to find out who that is. Okay, so he just gave it to her. It still hasn't told who she is. She has a son, an olive-skinned, dark-eyed boy named Alan, who looks a lot like Prince Ali. So he says, "You call him Alan? It was the nearest name to Ali. I couldn't call him Ali. Too difficult for him and the neighbors and all." They were married. They were secretly married. Okay, her name is Alice Calder. Okay, I wasn't sure if it was anybody that we knew before, but apparently not. So they were married, and actually it wasn't secret. They were married, and he said he had to go back and he would marry someone else because apparently, you know, that's fine for him because, you know, he can have many wives if he wants to. He's a prince. And yes, but they had a son. How cute. Oh, this is so cute. And she says, "That schoolgirl, the one who found them, I'd like her to have one of them. What color do you think she'd like?" Mr. Robinson reflected. "An emerald, I think. Green for mystery. A good idea of yours. She will find that very thrilling." Oh, that's so cute. So Julia's gonna get an emerald. That is pretty nice. Cool. So she's gonna sell all the jewels, use that money to, you know, give her son a good life, a good education and everything. Well, that was really nice. That actually, okay, of course, Miss Chadwick died, but other than that, I mean, she did die saving Miss Bulstrode and Mrs. Upjohn. So there is that. Miss Bulstrode did have a point there. I read them really fast and I miss details, and I tried not to miss any details this time, but I'm sure there's probably some stuff that I missed. And well, like she kept saying, "I thought I saw Miss Rich, but she was fat and she was pregnant." It's like, come on. So yeah, there were some little details that I missed, which, you know, that's gonna happen. Anyway, I really did enjoy it. I wish that I could have solved it. It's kind of hard to solve one when someone does, you know, solve who the killer is when one of the suspects has an airtight alibi for one of the murders. That's why I thought it was Miss Rich, because I did think that her alibi was that good. And yeah, that's why I was really suspicious of her the whole time, because it seemed like she could have done every single one of the murders, and Anne couldn't have because Anne didn't, which is kind of annoying that if If not for that, I could have gotten it, I think. Yeah, so I don't know. That's really annoying. She likes to do that though. She likes to throw some little twist in there sometimes, and it's like, how are you supposed to figure that out? But still, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys have enjoyed trying to figure out the mystery too. Did you know who it was? Have you read this one before? Do you think that you probably would have gone with Miss Rich also like I did? Or would you have suspected someone else? I know I said that I got the idea for Cat Among the Pigeons to do that one from somebody's comments on someone else's videos, and it was one of the few that I have not read yet. One of the other ones that was mentioned was The Mirror Cracked, and I do have that one. I actually have that one on my bookshelf, but I might try that one. I don't know. I had fun. I hope you guys did too. And let me know if you think I should do another one of these. And if you have suggestions of which ones to do, that would be cool too. So yeah, if you would like to see me try another one of these, just let me know and I will give it a go. I will give it a shot and see if maybe I can actually solve the next one. But yeah. I'm not very good at these sometimes. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Not sure what I'm doing. Probably not another book video, but I'll do something. Maybe one day. Bye!